Looks like we're live and such. Pretty much. Do a quick test. Looks like we're live. Yes, pretty bad test. But anyway, testing. Do I have a voice? I should have tested to see if I had a voice before I started, but it doesn't really matter because we already started. I guess I'll do what the video is the major subject, but we will no doubt drift from that subject. So I'll do the important part for the title first. So I would like to encourage some sort of, working on this simulation thing. And as stated, I will try to raise money for the purpose of somebody devoting some time to do the programming. But I really like this Canvas HTML feature, and so I'll show a little bit of this. I mean, it seems to have a pretty good engine. It can do this stuff pretty quickly, so hopefully you can see that. And it's pretty impressive. Lots of little dots coming out of the mouse spot there. And obviously I just want to reverse that and then do the mathematics where you don't allow some of those things going certain directions, because they're blocked. So it isn't a huge amount of work to transform this code into the code I'm looking for. But I just don't want to do the work because I have so much shit to do and so much on my table in terms of big concepts and such. I just don't have time to do this learning curve crap and get back into programming and all that shit. I like doing programming, frankly. I mean, I'd like to be able to just spend days working on something like that again, like the old days, but I'm just too pressed. My time is too precious. It's that way. I'm too distracted in a sense too. I just got way too many things buzzing around in my head, both in my real life and in my physics life. And it happens every day. Every day there's stuff I say, oh, write that down. I probably have shitty enough notes that I won't be able to remember what the concept I need to work on. But anyway, so DS, I said the wrong email the other day. So if you want to get unblocked, you have to do ds@draftphysics.com, not draft science. The YouTube channel is different than the domain name because, yes, draft science as the domain name was already taken. So I had to do draft physics instead. But anyway, so it's draft physics, draft physics, draft physics. And likewise, if you have some contribution you want to make or you think you can do some of this crap. So the Benjamin guy, Drake, whatever his name is, links, the two links below, this thing and his thing, and anybody else who has a thing, I can link to that. I'll put the link in the description. But I guess he was doing his in Java, the Benjamin guy. And I just like this platform because I can just make HTML pages. And I think that's pretty cool. I just, just work in the web browser without fucking around. And look, it just seems it seems a pretty good engine is all I'm pointing out. It just seems to be able to do, I mean, there's a lot of little dots. And it's doing them, and it doesn't crash and it doesn't fuck up. So it's pretty good. I'm impressed, mostly. I'm just saying, looks pretty good, and it's just JavaScript, so that's easy, in a sense. It's a universal language and all that now. But anyway, so like I said, if you're interested, I can't promise you, I can promise that, I'll be grateful if you make something that's worth something, then yeah, 20 or 30 bucks. And like I said, I'll try to raise more money for your contribution. And depending on how spectacular it is, we'll let the viewers decide what you deserve as compensation for your brilliant work. But yes, you just have to follow the simple rules. This reversed, shadow kind of effect by the simple mathematical rules, and then just have the ability to move objects around and just say somebody can place a heavy object and a light object, and then you just let the thing run, and you'll see that the two objects will end up moving towards each other, proportional to their mass. I mean, there's certain things that'd be nice if it had, that it was mathematically accurate would be nice. That's all. It doesn't have to be, as long as it's accurate, but it doesn't have, like, you don't have to you could just have this for the effect. Let's say these little dots were moving in the exact opposite direction. You can have that as the effect of just showing how the gravity goes through everything. And then you could do the math for the moving, and that you don't have to have the little dots be exactly accurate because nobody's going to be following them anyway. So it's okay to have visual cheats as long as it's explicitly accurate to what actually would happen under the rules defined by gravity as a particle gravity. Yeah, I just don't want something that's a cheat. You can cheat, but you can't cheat on the important things. You can only cheat on the unimportant things. Visual cheats are okay. Mathematical cheats aren't okay. That kind of thing. Not enough to say on that subject. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. And so it just, I got to get rid of this. They all have this stupid mouse thing where everything originates from. I really don't like that too much. So all the ones I found so far. There's probably a whole page somewhere of all these animations. So if somebody has links to more of this stuff, more of this Canvas stuff, maybe there's a whole Canvas group somewhere or something. There's clearly people who are building huge infrastructures that do all kinds of things with databases and all this other, and I really don't want to. I don't want something that's too much more complicated than the basic JS code. Just so it's less likely to fail, less likely to have catastrophic crash errors in it, from my experience. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. Then I don't need that. You can load like another page, and a little thing is still over there. Yeah, see it over there? It's still over there. So that's pretty cool. So obviously it's a little bit frame ratey. You can see it doesn't, okay, in your image it's not quite as impressive, but it's pretty neat. And so I like it. That's say I like it. Yeah, I can say that. So let's load these. Oh yeah, this is the only page. So I have to use this page to go anywhere else. So is there anything else I want to say about that? No, just anybody who thinks it can help with programming, I'd appreciate it. And I just like the idea if it's in JavaScript, then I can manipulate it to some extent. It just have to be able to figure out what you did and all that kind of well, whatever. I just don't. Just don't have the skills built in, and I have to. The learning curve's just a little bit too much learning for right now. Too busy trying to explain things to take so much time to learn things. So anyway, I guess I'll read some of these comments as they're here, but they're really stupid. Sorry. Should have fixed that before I made the video. Okay. All right. Not gonna die yet. Anyway, soon, but not yet. All right. So what else do I want to do? All right. Maybe I'll go over. All right. I'll read the comments just because they're stupid and get them done with. I'll see if there's any new comments, which there never are. Nope, no new comments. Okay. So Truth Quest 123 as just a religious kook. 614. I'm not going there, so fuck you. Has nothing to do with atmosphere. And you believe that because you deny ether. I don't deny ether. I see absolutely zero evidence indicating that there's anything called an ether, whatever that would be. And even if you made an ether, frankly, you have the same problem as Einstein and quantum mechanics, in that if you make an ether and it's just jello, it's not pre-jiggled, your ether doesn't have any energy. And the problem with both general relativity and quantum mechanics is they both lack energy. That's why it's a virtual photon for magnetism, because they have no source of energy. And obviously gravity, no source for the energy. Things move and they don't burn any fuel. That's a big problem in physics. When you make something move and there's no evidence of fuel burnt, that is, some sort of equation of conversion of momentum from one source into another kind of modality, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you're not, you have to consume the pressure or something to make your things move, right? So it's not there. I've already explained that in depth. And so your ether theory doesn't fix that unless you make your ether, ironically, into a bunch of little tiny grains of sand that are moving the speed of light in all directions. Now, if you do that, then your ether can work. You fucking cunt. Okay. Ether is no atmosphere. So again, it just makes no sense. Ether is nothing. Ether's made out of nothing, and the nothing tells the somethings what to do. You don't know how fucking stupid that sounds. I mean, you really think I'm going to fall for that? Huh? It's like the intelligent God can poof into existence, but nobody can understand how a human brain could evolve. So the all-knowing beastie can poof into his existence, but the human being can't even evolve into his existence. That's inconceivable, that he came from lesser stuff. I mean, you people suck at doing logic. All right, then he says, if you were right, magnetic fields would not work in space. A complete lie. I should just block you for that lie. I mean, it's a preposterous lie. Nothing ever have I ever said anything to indicate why magnets need atmosphere, cunt. Nowhere have I indicated magnets need an atmosphere. Ever. You liar. Yet they do. Yeah, and again, nothing I've argued indicates they wouldn't work in space. Nothing. You lying cunt. Oh, that's it. Okay. Ether is the very space-time fabric. Yeah. And again, so that doesn't sound silly to rational people. Here you are at the very thing you criticize as just being a contrived explanation for gravity, space-time fabric. And now you're using it because, oh yeah, well, I can make ether look just like a fabric. But it's nothing. So it's something. It's not an atmosphere, yet it's a fabric. You don't see how full of shit you are? And again, the fabric doesn't work in 3 dimensions, so it's just a silly analogy, which our scientists call virtual quanta, or Planck's. Planck's. So again, virtual quanta have to have energy. Where does your ether get the energy? Fuckhead. Okay. See, people. I know I gotta quit doing this fuckhead stuff, but I'm just so fucking sick of this shit. I mean, really. Anyway. The easy way to understand is time. Easy way to understand is time. To understand is, maybe you should put the comma earlier. The easy way to understand, comma, is time, gravity, can in fact be measured. Again, more, I don't need this knowledge. I don't need this information. How long does it take to fall or get a message from a rover on Mars? Again, we already know it has nothing to do with getting messages from rovers. It has to do with the fact that the fastest thing moving are these force bits, whether they're in the electromagnetic spectrum or whether they're in the form of a magnetic influence or even gravity. And that's the limitation. Things move the speed of light and no faster. That decides how fast you're going to communicate with your rover. The speed of force. Everything, the fastest thing in the universe is the speed of force. The tides on our moon are predictable. How is this? Again, more just fuck you. Who doesn't know that? But we all sound unsure because we are. You're unsure. I'm not unsure. How does magnetism differ from solid to gas? More rubbish, such as Jupiter from Earth. They both have tiny magnetic fields based on their densities. So as a percentage of their mass, the percentage of them that is excreting a magnetic effect is rather minuscule. Mass keeps our planet safe many times. Just ask the moon. Fuck you. All right, message, question. I don't know what country he's from. I mean, this is obviously not a person who's familiar with English. If space is expanding, why do I give a shit about this subject? Where? What video have I done where I gave a shit about the subject of space expanding bullshit? Where? 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 All right. Where is everything being created from? There's not everything being created. All they're creating is distance between things. So they're just saying space expanding. When they say space expanding, they just mean everything is moving away from everything else. Like a balloon expanding. Everything, every molecule on the balloon is moving away from the other molecules, so to speak. Let's see. In other words, at some point in space, there must be nothing but emptiness. I would argue that there's emptiness in sort of obvious places, like say if I go outside the Earth's atmosphere and I'm in space, I can do this with my fingers and there'll be nothing between my fingers, maybe a tiny few atoms, and that's it, just a few atoms, very little between my fingers. That's a bunch of emptiness. No stars, no planets, just space. Yeah, whatever. These are questions totally irrelevant to the purpose of this channel. Just totally irrelevant. I am contrasting my theory, my particle theory, to their silly lack of energy, bent space quantum crapola that can never be unified nonsense. I'm comparing my unified theory to their broken and silly, nonsensical, and illogical religion. All right. Garbage comments. I just can't, I don't understand how, I mean, you know, you can get a couple hundred views on some of these videos and nothing, I can't get anything rational in the comment section. Nothing. Oh, damn. Oh, this is so frustrating. The Danish physicist. Let's see how he goes. He's, you know, I gave him something to chew on yesterday. Let's see if he chewed on it properly. The Truth Quest guy is still around? Question mark. I remember him announcing his unsubscription 7 years back. Yes, well, yeah, I don't know how he got her back again. I don't know. I thought I had him blocked, but whatever. I don't get it. But yes, he's apparently still talking silly trivia. It is weird. This whole thing, like I said, when I did a search, I was finding all this stuff about like these guys from like the 1930s, like I don't know what's his name, the most famous of the Nutters, great artist, you know, marble sculptor. But he's an idiot. So anyway, but all these guys with their mysticism and their, you know, whatever coral castle kind of people and all this kind of, and you find this wacky stuff, and everything's built out of that. Like it's all got it's like the foundation of Ken Wheeler and the Electric Universe, and you know, and then they all kind of use this hyperborealoid crap. I mean, I'm watching Bill Gates talking about hyperborealoids, and you're just like, oh man, what's wrong with you people? Yeah, and then the fractal shit. It seems like it's all connected to the same like silly cult from like whatever it is, you know, 1878. There was like a cult of crazy people that decided the, you know, the universe was not made as things. Somehow there was the anti-thing was defining the thing. So the anti-thing is somehow shaping the thing. So the thing isn't really a thing. It's the anti-thing that really makes the thing a thing. Some kind of crap like that. And obviously the force is doing that. So, I mean, all you have to do is just turn it into, like I said, if you just turn the ether or the counter space into a bunch of little grains of sand that are moving the speed of light, then we could perfectly agree. It's so ironic. But they don't want an ether made out of sand that's moving the speed of light. Just so ironic. But if they did that, yes, it answers all the questions. It does everything. Then you can say ether theory won in the end. But they don't want an ether. It's made out of something. They want an ether made out of nothing. Or like Bill Gates, they're just glued to this pulling thing. They just can't seem to figure out that pull is not a very rational elemental function. Can't really do it elementarily. All right, so we did comments. Now what else do I want to do? The notes. Yes. So I did draw a little picture. It's not very significant, but sort of the Lesage idea and trying to get to the root of how much, where the shadow will be the darkest and all that kind of stuff. Because there's very few locations that'll get hit by no photons, in an open field and when you bring two objects. So it's not until they get very close and this triangle overlaps this triangle that you start to get complete blackness. So the further away they are, the surface still gets hit. So there's a shadow, but it's a gray shadow. And it doesn't turn into a black shadow until they get very close together. So the other thing I realized I said in the video, and I have said previously, is that there's no gravity in the center of the Earth. So let's say we could make a little chamber in the center of the Earth. Now, first off, we couldn't do that because there's no material known to mankind strong enough to push to make the vessel. The vessel would get crushed by the pressure. So it's not theoretically possible to do this. But let's say you could. So you can make this little place inside the very center of the Earth, and you were going to put a human being in there with oxygen. He was going to just, hang out. The idea says, okay, there's no gravity there, but that's really not true, okay? It's not that there's no gravity. It's that gravity doesn't make itself known because you only see gravity when there's an imbalance between the accelerations. So technically, when two planets are out here, you could sit right in between them. Let's say they were exactly even planets, and right between them, there would be equal pull here and equal pull there. Well, the trick is that equal pull will be so close, so tiny because they're far away that it wouldn't matter. But let's say I put the two planets right next to each other. So that's sort of what it would be like in the center of the Earth. The center of the Earth would be like having two giant planets just a few feet across, just a few feet away from each other. All right, so two half of Earths just a few feet away from each other, and you're right in between them. So now you can understand that what you're technically going to be doing is accelerating both ways. You're going to be accelerating towards this planet and accelerating towards this planet. And yes, technically, those two movements cancel, but technically, they're not going to cancel inside of your body. And I would argue you're going to get ripped to shit. You're going to be torn to pieces. Half of you is going to go one way and half of you is going to go the other way. You're going to break. So technically, I don't think you could survive. Even if I could make you an environment inside the center of the Earth that was livable, you won't survive. Your matter will essentially just rip apart. It'll decide whether it's, I'm heading to planet B or I'm heading to planet A. One of those pressures for each atom will be stronger than the other, pretty much obviously. right? I mean, just your thickness. The atom on this side and the atom on this side are going to feel the pressure a little tiny bit different. But it's not going to be a little tiny bit, it's going to be a lot, because you're you're right on the surface of the giant planet. So you see the gravity's strong, 10 meters per second for a whole Earth. So a half Earth is 5 meters per second, and 5 meters per second. Pretty strong force. And so it's going to be substantially different each side of you. So at minimum, you're going to be stretched. And at worst, you're going to be torn to pieces. And once the things start accelerating in a direction, like say this piece of hair starts accelerating that way, it's not going to stop accelerating because the gravity gets stronger as you get closer, and it gets weaker as you get further away. So once it starts to move in a direction, it's going to move faster and faster in that direction. So once this hair decides, it's just going to keep going. It's not going to stop. Like I said, it might just be that it does this thing. You know, everything goes buzz, and I go fat, and everything gets a little bit weird, and I don't die. But I think it's going to be enough pressure to rip me to pieces. Anyway, so it's a very interesting thing that I've never heard anybody talk about ever, and that everybody thinks about it because it's two equal forces, that the force doesn't really exist, like they cancel out. But with gravity, they don't really cancel out. They're real accelerations. You really are accelerating. Right now, you're accelerating towards the Earth. Yes, you don't feel it, but you're doing it. Okay. Yeah, important point. All right, then I was thinking about the idea that I said in the video pretty obviously. We all know that these electrons probably are Brownian motion in their positions. I'll read the comment first. If you went to the center of the geometric center of the Earth, well, there's no other center, really, come on. There might still be a slight imbalance in the gravity, as the Earth's density isn't consistent. I would agree, but I would say by the overall size of the gravity. I mean, you're talking about something that's 2,500 miles on each side, right? So you got 2,500 miles, and then you're talking about a 2-mile difference in that 2,500 miles. So I'm just saying the amount of difference is going to be so slight that I don't think it's going to matter to an atom right in the middle. It's going to be such a slight difference that I don't think it might not be the thing that tips it. What'll tip it is exactly what I'm going to talk about now, which is the fact that the electrons and the atoms are all jiggling with Brownian motion. And they might be Brownian motion this way at the moment you poof into that vessel. And whatever way their motion's Browning at the moment, oh, it's raining again. I can't believe this. Fuck. Let me a break. Gotta look. See how much rain it's going to be. I just put all the plants out. I mean, you know, damn. Now the deers are going to sneak in the yard and steal them all. Yeah, it's just some little fucking cunt blob. Just never ends. Damn it. Damn it. Sorry, it's a personal thing, me and the weather. All right, so so all this stuff is doing the Brownian motion thing. Everything's being jostled. So with the electrons, you know, they're stuck in tension. So they're attracted to the proton, but they're also repelled by the other electrons. So the electrons are repelling this way and repelling this way, and the electron is being attracted to the nucleus this way. So just think of this handle as the pressure to the proton, which is low pressure, and at these directions, there's other electrons that are saying you can't get closer to me. So that's the tension it's causing. So it's doing this. So I was thinking about the double slit experiment and the fact that, you know, why does the photon move at specific angles? Okay, the bars. And the bars just might be a consequence of the Brownian motion, because the Brownian motion will tend to end up being kind of probabilistic. There'll be a certain, there'll be a probability of the glass being here, the glass being here, the glass being here, the glass being here. They're all equally probabilistic, if you get me. And So when the photon comes in, it just kind of depends on which way, okay, the electron is moving from its average, its center average. And that'll decide where the photon goes. So it's pretty interesting, I think. It's very interesting. It's a candidate for an answer that I hadn't thought of before. A really good candidate. Anyway, and also relates to, right, that Brownian motion would also relate to the fact that as you make the slit narrower and narrower, the influence between the surfaces, that is how much they're communicating through charge, is increasing. And therefore, they're sort of communicating. These surfaces start communicating with each other, and they're communicating with those electrons. So the electrons would move at a different rate depending on how close the material is. So it's another indication of how variable that motion could be. The motion can be varied by the condition of how close the slits are. So yeah, I like this. It's a, like I said, I haven't thought it all the way through, but I'm just saying on its surface, that sounds like a viable answer. All right. I did the center of the earth. I did the wobbly thing. There was something else. Mass increase. I don't know why I wrote that down exactly. I don't know. So let's see if I got anything on this other piece of paper, because I thought I had some other note somewhere. Let's see, WT54. What the hell is that? Math effects. I don't know what that is. Yeah, sorry. All right. Let's see if there's any notes on here. Nothing on there. I know I've written something else down, so just kind of irritating the misplaced something. All right, spectral lines. That's a really old one. Yeah, that's an old note. All right, I got to take better notes. I can quit being an asshole. Yeah. All right, so that's the only ones I can find. Anyway, those are two pretty big ones. I mean, two important subjects. All right, so let's see if there's anything else I got to say. Like I said, I think the last 4 videos I've made have been solid. Made lots of good points. There hasn't been any, rational counter argument to how any of what I've said isn't plausible or reasonable. Any evidence of any experiment says that can't possibly have happened. Any of that crap. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, hasn't been much video. I've been watching, like I said, some of those Bill Gates guy dumped about 10 videos that are an hour long. So I have been going through those, and right, nothing much to talk about. I don't think there's any other video that was worth playing. Just lots of crap. I mean, the string theory thing is really, so I did watch some stuff on what gravitons are. And apparently gravitons are, in quantum mechanics, are really tied to string theory. And so the idea of a graviton it's not a particle, it's some dopey loop string thing. It's a loop of string. So some of the strings have 2 ends, like just a line of string, like a thread. And then some of the strings are loops. Somehow gravitons are loops of string. So it really doesn't have anything to do with what they're calling it, a graviton. Why would you call like a rubber band a ton? That would be kind of silly. It's a band of some kind. It's something else, a graviband. or something. You don't call it a graviton and then say it's a round rubber band. That can't be a ton. That's just bullshit. So yeah, it really has nothing to do with it being a particle. It's some sort of loopy thing that can escape to another dimension. So that's why they need the more dimensions, is because apparently the gravitons are free flyers and they can escape our universe and go to the multiverse. Or the ultraverse or whatever. Anyway, it's just such horse shit. I don't see. I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, relativity and quantum mechanics are silly enough, and I just don't know how they could pile that bullshit of string theory and go even sillier. Like, just let's square the silliness. It's silliness squared. You're just saying that can't be reality, you fuckheads. So another jackass comment about irrelevant mush. Do you think it's possible that the universe had no start? Yeah. I mean, what do you want me to say? We have absolutely no evidence to base a theory on. Nothing. So there's just absolutely no evidence of origin, cause of where did the photons come from? Well, I guess there's two answers. They always existed, or something made them. A cause. Well, what was the cause? Photon making cause. Yeah, that's what it was. The photon making cause. A function. There's actually some little thing in the universe that we can't see that makes photons. Yes, in some sort of rabbit hole where Alice fell through. But it just doesn't matter. I mean, it's just such an irrelevant question. I just don't know why you fuckheads. Why does your imagination always lead you to cause? Why do you give a fuck about why there's a bazillion, zillion, trillion things in this universe? Don't you really just want to know how the fuck it works? Oh, man. It's just such a leap. You got to just say, why are you bothering trying to answer that question? The answer is going to be stupid. I'm just guaranteeing you. The answer will be a stupid reason. There won't be some smart reason for why there's photons. There's just going to be a dumb reason. Just as dumb as why do forests burn down, or why do asteroids hit planets? It's not going to be a smart reason. It's going to be a dumb reason. Oh, H is even dumber question. Thanks. Yeah, I'm so, this just, thanks. It's just making me feel so much better about being alive. Could the universe cycle between existing and non-existing? I mean, you don't think it's a silly question, huh? I just saying, well, okay, yes, it's possible the universe disappears and then it appears, and then it disappears and then it appears, and then it disappears and then it appears. I guess it's possible, but through what mechanism would it do that? How exactly can it get entirely erased and then recreated exactly how it was? I mean, don't you see the memory problem? Like, there won't be any memory if you can completely erase your Etch-a-Sketch. You can't just snap your fingers and pop it back again. You have to redraw the whole fucking universe. So that doesn't make much sense, does it? And why would I even, I mean, I can speculate all kinds of things. I can just say something stupid like, is it possible the whole universe was shat by a big red chicken? Yeah, of course it's possible. But why would I even attempt to imagine all the silly ways the universe could have been shit? Well, I mean, I can imagine anything shitting the universe. So I'd just be making up stuff, right? A hippopotamus with the head of a frog. I can just keep going and just keep making up. I pull the heads off this animal and put it on the tail of that one and put its kangaroo feet over here. I can just keep making up silly shit and say, could this silly thing have shitted the universe? Yes, it could have shitted. Yes, it's possible it shit the universe. I can't rule it out. But why should I be ruling it in? It's obviously made up. There's obviously no reason for me to rule it in. Just because you can imagine it doesn't mean it's relevant. That's the truth. Your imagination, much of what you can imagine, is not logically relevant. And if you just stick to what's logically relevant, then you're more likely to play a good, smart game. So yeah, this is so much work to do. I'm going to have to learn how to talk Teletubby, because I guess I'm going to have to really, really squash my intelligence into almost nothing to communicate with you people. Which questions are you mainly concerned with? I can't see the last word. I'm not really concerned with questions, frankly. I'm concerned with you apparently, okay, aren't convinced that my theory is correct and their theory is incorrect, even though I provide a ton of evidence for why my theory is correct and their theory is incorrect. So why don't you ask me something about what you don't get? Because you're obviously not getting something. You're obviously not understanding how push is a really simple force and pull is a really complicated thing. That I can't just look at two things and say, all right, just by moving, make pull. Can't do it. But just by moving, I can make push. Really easy. See, do you understand that analogy? That physics is going to get simpler as you go down. The mechanical depth of the system, just like evolution, it gets simpler, less DNA, not more DNA. The code gets simpler as you go to the origin. And the universe is going to do the same thing. The mechanisms have to be simpler, not more complicated. God didn't make the universe. Complicated things didn't make the simple universe. Simpler things did. So what I want to understand is, why don't you get it? With all this crap I've told you, why aren't you getting that their theory is silly shit and that my theory is the golden unification of physics? It does everything we need to do. It finishes the job that Einstein attempted to complete. I have accomplished Einstein's work. I have finished his job. So that's, yes, I want comments relevant to the contrast between their silly, nonsensical, rubbish, Heisenberg, Huygens, wavical, bent spacical bullshit and my simple push universe, explain it all theory. So the electrons vibrate due to subtle differences in the pressure. Yes, it's a random pressure. So the cosmic background radiation, right? They took a picture of it, so to speak, right? And it's all blotchy, right? But it would probably be blotchy randomly. That is, if they took a picture the next day, it'll be blotchy in a different way. So I'm just saying, let's just forget that, because I don't even think that was, I think that satellite was full of shit anyway. So anyway, let's not bother with that. But you can just imagine that any dense force is going to have that is fundamentally randomized, is going to have variation in it, subtle variation. So at any one moment, there's more heads than tails. That is, there's more pressure pushing you this way than there is pressure pushing you this way. And I don't mean this personally. So yes, that's what the Brownian motion is. The Brownian motion is a reflection of the fact that that the fundamental system is randomized. Well, I only randomized. Now I want to, that's the key word. It's not really random. it's impossible for it to be perfectly consistent. It's impossible for it to have perfectly created two things that meet at exactly the same point from every location in the universe, so to speak. So it can't possibly be symmetrical. So the fundamental force can't be perfectly symmetrical at any 1 second. It's symmetrical over a longer period of time. It has perfect symmetry, but over a short period of time, it's not symmetrical. I mean, you really have to fucking cut these hairs, and it's really a pain in the ass, because I don't want somebody saying, oh, you said blah, 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 blah. Well, no, I didn't really say that. So it's not really random, and its symmetry is only perfect over long periods of time. Do you wish to conduct any experiments? Well, that's already in other videos, in order to test out some theories. I don't wish to, no, it's a pain in the ass, but there are experiments on my list that will. I would love to do I think this might be a viable experiment, frankly, is to take the deepest well we have dug that's not full of oil or something, you know what I mean, some empty one, as empty as we can make it, and stick a ruler in there and see if it stretches. Yeah, I think that's a doable experiment, because you go a couple miles down, you have a substantial amount of mass above you, and you have a substantial amount of mass below you, and they will be tugging in opposite directions. And it would be interesting to see if you, in fact, stretch. So this might be a doable proof that, that gravity is a manifestation of low pressure. But I think they would just sit there and say, Einstein predicted that. There's no point. So they'd probably claim that Einstein's model also predicts that. That's the catch here. The real theory of the external pressure is just an inverse of Einstein's silly pull theory. So he has this silly pull mechanism from nowhere, the vacuum cleaner, and the external pressure does exactly the same thing. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. Pushing from the outside evenly in a spherical way is exactly the same as pulling down the drain. You'll get exactly the same results. Except the difference is the external pressure has a limit to how much pressure you can create, where when you're pulling down drains, they can pull they can pull with an intensity an external pressure could never have. They can make an infinitely deep well where you can't make an infinitely strong pressure push. All right, so would increasing the number of ping pong balls also increase the average separation of the electrons? It doesn't necessarily create separation, it creates pressure. So if the electrons are free to move, that is, they have a lesser pressure on their outsides, they're not moving into other electrons, then yes, they're free to move, and the more pressure will create distance. But the point is this is exactly the point. If the electrons are locked by attraction to the proton, that is, they can't move further away, all right, you get it? And they're in positions in a circumference. So the circumference of the circle can't get any bigger. And you have 6 electrons, and they all have the same pressure between them because they're always going to average it. The point is the pressure, you put more ping pong balls in between 2 electrons. The fact is the electrons are going to change their distance to accommodate that extra ping pong ball. So all of them will spread that pressure across them. So even though this 2 electrons might end up being a little further apart, these 2 electrons might be a little closer together. So they'll always balance the pressure. All right, wasn't this you're just going to be a putz about words, aren't you? So you're just playing the quote mining game. I mean, just being an asshole. Fine, go ahead. All right. Wasn't this your line? I'm not spilling lines, fucker. I'm being as honest as I can and trying to explain it to you. Okay, there's no lines here. of thinking. Okay, that's not as bad as I was making it out to be. Okay, I'll read the whole thing before I get pissed off. Wasn't this your line of thinking regarding the photoelectric effects? Or am I misremembering? Well, as I said from the very beginning, the photoelectric effect is just understanding tipping points. And tipping points is about tension. So when you put a post up and gravity's pulling it down, you can sort of understand it's in a kind of a tension. If you bend it too far, it falls over. If you bend it too far this way, it falls over. And so the argument is about electrons are in a similar kind of tension. Not the same, but a similar kind of tension. And the whole point is if you hit them hard enough down, that is, push them down, the rest of the electrons are going to reject that movement. And so they're going to put a counter pressure back and say, no, go back where you were. You're making us uncomfortable. So it's like me pushing into my skin pushes back. So if I push in at a certain rate, that is, if I hit once and I allow the skin to rebound, and I hit once and I allow the skin to rebound, nothing will happen. But if I hit the electron twice before the skin can rebound, then you can understand I'll hit the electron deeper. And the deeper hit pops the electron free. So it's compressing a spring more because you don't allow the spring to relax. So if the frequency of the light is fast enough, so infrared light, this is exactly what Einstein found. Okay, so infrared light can hit all day because the period is slower than the rebound speed. So the electron rebounds, the surface bounces back up before the next bit hits. Okay, so nothing interesting ever happens. It just keeps making dents and dents and dents and dents, and nothing happens. And the key is that if you go higher to ultraviolet light, the ultraviolet light hits quickly enough before it's only rebound halfway up, and it hits it again. So it goes that little bit deeper. It pulls the trampoline down a little bit deeper, and it's high enough to knock the person through the ceiling. So it's just that I know you understood what I just said. I know you can get that, and it's that freaking simple. It's just about the tension between the electrons. Their bonds are real, they're in tension, and you can create higher pressure by hitting them quicker. You can knock them deeper by hitting them quicker because they won't rebound quickly enough. Okay, that was a good explanation. You got to know how. I'm sure you understood that. Okay. Regarding photoelectric effect, or am I misremembering? Okay, so you got to say you got that. Just say, I get that. Come on, you can type it. I get that. Great explanation. You can do it. Come on, come on. You got it, right? You understood that, didn't you? No, apparently not. Oh, God, I hate you people. Oh, okay, there you go. It's not just intuitive, but okay. I have done a lot of work thinking about this shit. It's not just some kind of pop out of the top of my head bullshit. I mean, I have watched the lectures and done all this shit to know what the fuck all this tension crap is. Watched lots of experiments with fucking springs. Endured all of that crap to know this shit. I'm just complaining because, you know, everybody uses intuitive pejoratively in science, right? Intuitive that's a pejorative word in science. So every time I see it, I just know somebody's just insulting a theory or an explanation. So when you say intuitive explanation, that's just saying garbage, religion, simplistic cover of the book, no detail, no sophistication, no grounding. And my explanation was very well grounded in real physics. In real observed phenomena. But the very fact that I could give you that pretty, I mean, that was kind of a pretty explanation, right, of the photoelectric effect. Wasn't it? Was kind of a pretty explanation. And the very fact that my theory can create such a pretty explanation, that's got to be evidence to you people that, gee, that's sort of what a right theory is going to do. I mean, a wrong theory couldn't make such a pretty explanation, could it? I mean, if photons really aren't little bits, little quanta at a distance, you know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't make sense that it could make such a pretty explanation of the photoelectric effect. Let's see. Well, I meant in the sense that you can understand it using common everyday scenarios. Well, I know. Look, I don't mean to imply you're an asshole. I just mean, it's just unfortunate that the Nazis spoke the same German as the non-Nazis. You know what I mean? So it's like, you hear the Nazis saying a certain word, and you say, okay, that's a Nazi word. Yeah, that's all. I'm just saying. It's a little hard to sometimes know where somebody's coming from when they use a word. And I'm just saying that all these words, right? They've all been broken, right? Wave doesn't mean wave anymore, right? Wave means all kinds of weird shit where you can have a wave that goes in a dead straight line, all kinds of weird. Yeah, there's a wave going by. It's a single coaxial cable wave. What the fuck is that? Let's see. Somebody who really hates typing, I guess. Jay, have one single thing to ask you. Don't block me. I don't know. I don't know what Jay means, but whatever. I will do as I must. So I do not follow orders. So or commands. So whatever. Either ask or something rational, or don't ask something rational. I've already told you, if you're going to type irrational rubbish, then you're not going to last too long. Can you react to a video? I mean, react is the wrong word, but anyway, I can respond to an argument made, but I will not argue flat earthers. I will not argue whatever electric universe crap or some Ken Wheeler video or some other crap. I've been there and done that. And I'll do that on my own time when I feel appropriate. Unless you have some video that is spectacularly meaningful in some way. So unless it's conventional physics arguing a point and making a very good argument for a point, why should I react to it? I don't do God. God is a silly fable. I don't do talking dinosaurs. I don't do three bears. I don't do three pigs. I don't do three blind mice. None of those things created the universe, and neither did a God, and it's all just rubbish, and I don't know why you're sticking that silly dildo up your ass. What about God? ... That is a great video. All right, well, I just block it. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you brought up God, and God is so fucking irrelevant. I can't even explain to you how fucking preposterously irrelevant God is. The fungus under my toenails is more relevant to this conversation than anything called a fucking God. Buttholes. If you believe in a God, get the fuck out of here, you kook. Just so fucking stupid. I mean, an adult believing in a fucking fairy tale. Do you go out and kiss frogs? First and last. I don't know if I like that, but whatever. Thanks. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Guess we'll go back to the other little thing bouncing around, the little fiery ball things. Fiery ball things. I don't know if that sounds quite right. Move it over here. Yeah, just leave it there, Gary. Just leave it alone. Yeah. So anyone who wishes to play around in this JavaScript canvas function, HTML5, it's obviously can do some things. So we should be able to make a model of mock gravity and other things. Yeah. I mean, it really should be good enough for me to do a good model of the photoelectric effect. Oh, I should put my commenters back because that's sort of what I'm doing. All right, Craig Stewart. Not a very nice person sometimes, I don't think, but we'll see. What's the difference between your theory of gravity? Oh, man, there's just no point, right? Go to the website. I mean, I've unified all of physics. Okay, I'm not only explaining gravity, I'm explaining magnetism and the nuclear forces. And as I just pointed out, I'm explaining things like the photoelectric effect. So it's a unification theory for one. Number two, Lesage, it isn't really his theory, it's Fadio's theory. And I already did 4 videos on it before this video. And Fadio, 300 years ago, who kind of theorized this, just as I discovered it, it's not that difficult a concept. You just say, pull sounds stupid. What about push? So then you try to figure out what could be pushing, and you say, well, photons are small. Why couldn't they push? I can't see them. What if they don't have a frequency? Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be able to see them then, would I? I couldn't tune them in on my radio if they don't have a frequency, could I? So it's not that intuitively difficult to think of push. So once you think of push, right? Now, we, modern man, we know there's electrons, protons, neutrons in atoms. We know there's magnetism in the atoms. We know lots of stuff Lesage and Fadio had no clue about. So obviously, we don't have to just say ultra mundane particles. We can say something a little more sophisticated. Okay, and we know what speed they're moving because all the force bits in the universe move the same speed, the speed of force. Magnetism moves it, gravity moves it, light moves it. It's clearly all one force. See, so I'm just saying, I'm not going to explain my entire unification theory to you personally. All right, I have videos on my channel page. I have them linked below called Overview. Watch one of those and you'll get the idea. And move this over here. It's too bad I can't move it somewhere and leave it there. I guess I could leave it there. That's pretty cool. Coolish. Good enough. I could poke it. Magic man. I can shoot particles with my finger. I'm pretty cool. Radiation man. I could turn this way and be certain kind of radiation I could spew. Yeah, that's funny. I'll do that later for just the private crowd. I could bend over, and that would be less sexual but more funny. Lots of toys to play with. I wish I had more time to play, but I have to unify physics in an atmosphere where people are obstinate idiots. Obnoxiously, belligerently ignorant. I'll just keep adding adjectives. Obnoxiously, belligerently idiots. So I get that. Cool. I don't know what you got, but I'm glad you got it. You really just can't say I get that, because it can't connect it to the whole conversation. Yes, go Gary. Yes, go Gary, go. I have to admit that in my youth, I did often try to, do that. I'm going to knock that plane out of the sky, yeah. I'm going to do it. I never did it. As far as I know, I was never successful. Might have been delayed effect. Maybe one of the planes that I, radiated, maybe its wing fell off like a year later, and I just didn't know it was the same plane I irradiated. But I did hope that there was some sort of mind over universe kind of thought. Like you could have some kind of thought that was actually the key to mind over universe, and you could actually, you think just right, the universe will do what you're telling it to. I did hope. I just did hope desperately. But then you learn about the birds and the bees and biology and brains, and you learn that brains are just stupid goop. Can't do shit. According to New Age Woo, that is entirely possible under QM. Yes, well, I'm just saying, obviously, even under QM, I'm just saying we kind of know what brains are, and there could never be enough order. And, QM is about randomness; it isn't about order. So, Heisenberg's not going to help you, create a super feature. Now, I guess when you get into entanglement, it sort of gets a little bit fudgy, right? So I guess in that sense, I don't know if is it, technically isn't it, shouldn't they have like a second label for QM that involves entanglement, like QM2, because it really isn't the original QM. But yes, entanglement would create the possibility where you could say that somehow my probability engine is affecting that probability engine, and but it's so full of paradoxes that it's laughably silly. And clearly it breaks the whole, like I said, if it was possible, nature would have already exploited it, right? I mean, the ants would already be quantum entangling the termites. You know what I'm saying? They'd be making the termites eat their own feet, or walk off cliffs, and they'd already be quantum entangling fucking everything over. So it would already be a weapon that nature would have given the biological organism if it existed. Just too good a weapon, you know. It's just too good a weapon. Reminds me of Tomb Raider. You know, this the original Tomb Raider. One of the levels was the reverse person thing. So it was like a person who was inside out, and they did everything you did. So every movement you made, they did exactly what you did, except backwards. So you went forward, they went forward. Yeah, I mean, you could crash into each other, so that could happen. But yeah, when you went this way, they went that way. So yeah, so it's sort of reversed. So you could essentially do something to make them do something that would kill them. So the events, that's how you got out of the room, was you had to make the skin person jump into a pit of fire because you could leap over it, but they can't. So yeah. So you jump and then they jump and you jump onto a rock and they jump into the fire. You know, that kind of thing. So that was sort of entanglement. But again, entanglement really isn't, in my opinion, it's not a reasonable. So it's not. There's not enough evidence of its existence to sit there and waste time debunking it. One of the silliest ideas is that our brain can somehow tap into the uncertainty, giving us free will. Yeah, well, that's really off the subject. And so I already did that. You know. Anyway, yes, quite obviously, free is a silly word anyway. There's no free anyway. So even if you could have free will, you wouldn't want free will. Free will means I don't remember that 2 + 2 = 4. Free will means I'm not confined by what I know. That would be idiotic. So I'm not confined by my intelligence or what I've learned how to do or any of that stuff. So I could learn how to play the piano, and free will would mean I don't play it right. What good is that? So free is garbage. You don't want to have a free will. You want to have a smart will. You want to have an informed will. You want to have a power will. You want to have a well-constructed, programmed will. You don't want to have a free will. Free will is a stupid will. Free to be stupid. Why would I want a free to be stupid will? And that's what free will actually means. So it's just garbage as a piece of vernacular. It's an oxymoron. Putting free and will together is oxymoronic. And it's just funny that people think it's a power thing. I have power. I have free will. No, that's not power. That's failure. You have no power. Free to be stupid is not power. I mean, it's like having the freedom to not tie your shoelaces. Freedom to forget to tie your shoelaces. Freedom to forget to buckle your seatbelt. Freedom to not realize that fire will burn you. And I mean, yeah, why do I want any of those freedoms? But no more on free will. Sorry, it's a philosophy subject. We don't do philosophy here. Physics, 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 physics. All right. Well, I guess I'll leave soon if you can't interact in a more constructive way and such. You could pretend to be really stupid and ask me a question. Yeah. I don't quite get it. You were saying particles are soldiers? Do you have to feed them? You could ask a question like that, and I could explain how. No, that's a metaphor. See, it's like soldiers, and there's only one group of soldiers, but depending on how I deploy them, they will manifest themselves as an army of magnetism, or an army of gravity, or an army of laser light. It just depends on how I deploy the soldiers. But there's only a certain number of soldiers, a total number of soldiers in the universe, and that's it. And at any one moment, some of the soldiers can be a beam of light, or some of the soldiers can be magnetism, or some of the soldiers can be gravity. That's there's only this much soldiers. Okay, have you formally named your unified theory? Yes, the unification theory is its name. I don't know what I have no, whatever. I have no idea. You come up with a name. No, that's probably a bad idea. Ukulele fun theory. No. Let's see. What could we name it? DSS. That sounds ominous. Draft Science Serious Theory. Yeah, T. Well, I have to come up with something. It has acronyms and such. You might be able to call it a 3-letter acronym. Grandest unificational theory. You know, well, whatever. I'll worry about naming it later. Not freely willed unification theory. Completely dependent on my exposure to idiocy in the universe. If it wasn't for you idiots being idiots, I would have never thought the theory needed to be invented, and it would never have been invented. But because you were colossal idiots, I invented it to just show how fucking stupid you are. Yes, big red chicken with rhinoceros horn theory. Chicken with a rhinoceros horn does sound kind of like it might be a little bit cute. The red ton theory. No, we don't really want to do that ton thing. It's a little too gay. So, bit. We like the word bit. We can't do too much to bit. Bit isn't got that ON thing happening, so it's not nearly as gay. So something with bit in it would be good. What are you working on? I don't know. Every day I find something new that inspires a chain of reasoning that leads to a new spiel. I spilled new stuff in this video. I mean, 2 pretty profound new things. And I provide a pretty lucid explanation of the photoelectric effect. I mean, you know, so what are you saying? So yes, I'm working on, I got to do some 2-slit experiments. I have a whole bunch of slits here and on photographic film. So I'll have to get to that very soon. And but yeah, my brain is always working this stuff out. No, we don't do Big Bang. We just really don't give a shit about origins. Again, you people, I don't know the obsession. I don't know why you give a shit about these black holes and Big Bangs and expanding crap. I just don't know why you're worried about that shit. HTML5 has a function. See this little stuff squirting out of here? HTML5 has a function where I can make this stuff squirt out in certain ways, and so I can simulate particle gravity using this software program. And I'm hoping somebody will help me to do that, where they do all the work and I, enjoy the finished product. because I really don't want to have to write the code. But I'm just saying it's a viable option for creating a nice visual that will make it all so obvious for you. See, on the real page, this stuff squirts a lot better. So I'm just saying it's a pretty powerful little engine. And so I should be able to make a fairly impressive visual representation of the function of magnets, electrons, protons, atoms, and gravity, and magnetism. All of it should be clearly illustratable in a nice animation. That makes it all nice and visual for you people who can't do concepts on your own. Your brain just can't imagine anything. Like you can't take rooster and then rhinoceros horn and put the horn on the rooster all by yourself and then imagine it. See, I can do that really easy. But apparently people can't do that easy. They need somebody to draw the rooster, put a rhinoceros horn on, then they can look at it and say, oh, I get it. It's a horn on a rooster. Yeah. I don't need to see it because I already see it in my brain. All right. Come on. Comment or die. You're in a lifeboat, you guys. One of you people in a lifeboat has to type something or you're all going to drown. You're going down. Glub, glub. Okay, I guess you all want to drink some water. Here we go. Danish physicist, who I hope is a real physicist, but who knows? Actually, I think I have an objection to the idea that electrons don't orbit the nucleus. Well, in thinking about it, I'm just saying I don't see any necessity for them to be moving half the speed of light around the nucleus as if they were planets orbiting a sun. They don't need to have tension. So my argument is there's no need to have a counter force to the acceleration created by the proton. The counter force is the other electrons. But anyway, okay. Certain intermolecular forces, such as dispersion forces in chemistry, are caused by the orbit of the electrons. Well, it says you. Um, in my opinion, there's no way to tell the difference between electrons that go like this and electrons that go like this to another location. So if I have all the electrons doing this, there really isn't any way for us to measure the difference between them doing this and them jumping to locations. So I'm just saying, I think the fact that they're moving is fooling them into thinking they're moving in a direction when they're not really moving in a direction. So that's all I'm just saying, I think that could take care of the dispersion thing, whatever exactly that is. Well, he does sometimes seem to be full of hot hair. So yes, probably a good choice. The Danish are kind of full of themselves. Yeah, so he's full of shit, floating shit. Yeah. Well, no, he might just sink then. Yeah, the Danish all seem to think, boy, without us, you people would be totally failing. They do have some idea that somehow they invented everything. And they really didn't do that bad. I mean, it is true. They did attempt to conquer the world and all that shit. Sucking a robot's penis, you think? It is a smart thing. I mean, it does have software, so I guess you can qualify it as a robot, but I don't think it's a penis. Whatever. Relative to its size, it's pretty big. So it's if you're gonna But anyway, Craig, you're being a bit of a cunt. So be a bit of a cunt some more, and I'll block you. How's that? Well, I'm just saying, Danish, the Dutch, right? That's Danish is Dutch. you know, they tried to conquer Africa. They took on the Zulus. I mean, they did have Huygens. They did have lots of scientists came from Dutchland. So they were sort of significant players. I mean, they did sail the oceans and all that crap. Yeah, they didn't get into a whole bunch of wars, but they were pretty, they did lots of trade. They were in China. They did a lot of shit. That's all I'm saying. So it's not totally unimpressive. That's all I'm saying. But some of them think that we gave the British all their ideas. They wouldn't, Newton didn't know shit without us, that kind of thing. Denmark is different country. Okay, my mistake then. Yeah, your country sucks then. Okay, we aren't Dutch. Okay, Denmark. So Danish is Denmark. I have to remember that from now on. Yeah, the Danish are useless then. I don't even know what they've done. They probably made some kind of bread, you know, Danish bread rolls or something. Yeah, that's it. Well, the whole thing is just irritating. The Dutch are from the Netherlands. Well, then why aren't they called the Netherlandians? I mean, I hate that shit. Fucking assholes. Can't they just figure out and call their place one thing? Does it have to be called seven different things? I mean, Danish and Denmark don't even sound alike. So, I mean, that's not very good. I'm just saying that the Dutch did get around, so the Dutch are pretty impressive. That's all I'm saying. But the Dutch are full of themselves, so that makes them useless. And they're stupid looking. So at least the Netherlands people aren't. I mean, at least Denmark isn't full of stupid looking people. Where Holland's full of stupid looking people. Chicks are okay, but the guys are all silly looking. I'm probably fucking Dutch. Who the fuck knows? Yeah, that would be a funny irony. Oh, yeah, probably. I'm probably arrogant enough to be Dutch. I am actually a descendant of the first white child born in Rhode Island. So, presumably, by approximation, I'm pretty close to a relative of the first white child born in Rhode Island, but you can never find out for sure. So Rhode Island's pretty close to New York. But we are once again strayed off into useless drivel. So let's not do that anymore. Physics, 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 physics. Come on, physics people, you can do it. Physics comment, a physics question. Physics, physics, you can do it. Come on. How round is round? Well, there really isn't any round. You're being fooled. It's all at least. They're all little straight lines somewhere. The universe really doesn't do round. It does straight lines. So every circle is really made out of straight lines. I should ask the questions because I seem to have answers for even. I think I'm going to ask a stupid question and I actually have a smart answer. I mean, it's that, I mean, I thought it was a really dumb question. How round is round? Now I have a smart answer to the dumb question. Yes, that would be the right title, right? The right / correct, light / superior / well evidenced / logical / rational / not stupid and silly / unification theory. Yeah, that would be funny. Yeah, I'll put 500 qualifying words. Yeah, that'd be super. Super, right? The super. You can put that in / tremendous / not Trumpy / you know, um, big handed. Yeah, that'd be great. Got a huge electrical storm moving in. I might lose my internet connection. Yes, the weather sucks. Fucking cunt weather. Yeah, I have to look and see what's happening here. Oh, it is drifting towards me. Oh, pisser. God, maybe I have to stay in this fucking room because it's going to rain. I mean, I really have other things to do. The rain shouldn't stop me from doing all. I mean, I have to still have to, the stupid sump pump broke in one of the houses I have to maintain. And I had another one, the same model, just happened to have, broken. And I figured, oh, out of the two of them, I should be able to make one, but the one of them was so colossally fried. It's like every wire in the motor was a cinder. Like you could just touch it and the wires would just crumble. They were so burned. And she was just like, oh, yeah, this is a, very safe device. So, yeah, so it didn't help much. And the other one also has a motor problem, but it's not because it's burned. I think it just got a little wet. So I have to fucking dry it out and see if it'll work. I really, when they fill them with oil, it's sort of, they can fill motors with oil because oil isn't conductive. And the oil sort of works until something happens, like the motor cracks or some other kind of bullshit, and then it's leaking a bunch of oil, which is shit. But it really does make sense in a sense. And so some pumps they made without oil. So they, but making them without oil means you have to have really good water seals. And the water seals are just, isn't so good because it wasn't wet, like pour water out inside, but it was really wet inside. So I think it's just shorting. So I think once it dries out, it'll work. But anyway. Niels Hendrik David Bohr was a Dutch physicist. I don't know who David Bohr was, so who cares? And Niels Hendrik, I don't know who that is either. So, but fine. I thought it was Niels Bohr. I know that guy, not David though. Oh, Niels Hendrik David Bohr. Oh, it's all one guy. Oh, maybe I should call it the Niels Hendrik David Bohr, but not unification theory. Yeah, the not Niels Hendrik David Bohr unification theory because he was an idiot. Yeah, Bohr was not my fan. I'm not a fan of Bohr. He was a silly phantasmagoricalist. Kept trying to make the universe magical. Isn't he the one that said, quit telling God what to do? It's Einstein. Some kind of shit like that. Anyway, we're still not entirely on physics. We're a little closer to physics, but not entirely getting there. Don't really want to get into a bunch of personalities of physics. This is frankly all the physicists since like Newton have been wrong. Yeah, they're all wrong. They're all flawed characters who haven't done what they're supposed to do, which is find the truth. Instead, they're finding bullshit. Nailing it up on the wall like everybody has to accept the bullshit. I nailed it on the wall. You have to accept it. All right, a little bit more nicotine and then we'll go. Come on, people. You can do it. More, better commenting, please. Don't make me point my radiation finger at you. Right, so Denmark, which is really, that's the, Denmark is not the Netherlands. It's the other place. The oh, it's Denmark. Yeah, that's right. Okay, got it. Chemistry. Yes. Okay, I don't know. I know some of those European places, they have been in consortiums of sort and done some things of value. But some of the shit they've done, they've really exaggerated the value of, like that whole hippocampus satellite thing that would look at all the stars. I read about that. Somebody kept posting that as if it's relevant to something. What a pile of shit. I mean, all of that data is being questioned by new measurements that are saying that measurement's complete shit. That measurement's complete shit. So here it's supposed to be all this great data, and then they're finding that, well, it doesn't agree with stuff that does it better. So, it looks like it's a pretty crappy telescope, so to speak, in the sense that it's made lots of errors in calculating the distance of stars and their movement and all that shit. So, yeah, why? I'm not in a panic because they say the stupid satellite found black holes or something, because it didn't do that. All right, come on, people. You can do it. Don't make me leave. Don't force me to go. No, anyway, I guess I will. I mean, you'd think with this whole giant thing I have created for you to ponder, you could say something relevant to the whole giant thing I've given you to ponder. But anyway, doesn't matter. All right, so, oh, that is just, look how good that works. Lots of little bits. So that should make a pretty good particle gravity simulator. All right, anyway, and such and so forth and whatnot. So till the next time, happy trails and such. Let's see if I can make it. Yeah, I can. And there's some more of it over there. Yeah, I'm easily entertained sometimes. So anyway, till the next time, and such and so forth and whatnot.